Planning and Economic Development Committee to order at 11:01 on July 22nd. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
First order of business is there any corrections to the minutes from our previous meeting? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Okay, thank you. So our first item on the agenda, we have Rosemary Aviel. The Chief Executive Officer of CNY Works with us today. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation.
So I asked CNY Works to come today to give us an update on the programs they offer and to give us a brief annual report.
Absolutely. Thank you. So CNY Works is your local workforce development board. We serve as a hub of workforce development to convene job seekers, training providers, businesses, and other programs related to job force, to workforce development. We can go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. Thank you. There.
Sometimes it's, yeah. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so just quickly, our mission is to be the single point of entry for Onondaga County for workforce development, like I mentioned. Our goal is to really bring businesses together and analyze what is the future needs and demands in our area, and how do we upskill and reskill those individuals in our community to be ready for those jobs that are coming to our area. Our vision really focuses on the critical workforce economic development and education opportunities that challenges our area, and how do we work together with other community-based organizations and providers and entities to meet those demands. So who do we serve? We serve majority the job seekers and the employers. So the job seekers are those individuals, like I mentioned, that need to be reskilled, upskilled. We also have an extensive, robust summer youth employment program and year-long youth employment program. So those are job seekers as well. And anyone who's underpaid or unemployed, that usually comes referred from the unemployment insurance from Department of Labor. So those are our clients, our customers as well. Our employers, we serve all the employers that we work with, either as an OJT on the job training or an incumbent worker training. All of these have to meet the in-demand occupations based by New York Department of Labor in our region. So we are considered the Central New York tier, and we share that with Oswego, Cortland, and Cayuga, and Onondaga. So us four make the Central New York in-demand occupations. So everything we do at CNY Works is really in that focus of in-demand occupations for Central New York and for Onondaga County. That is healthcare, education, manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, construction, and education. So everything we do, all of our grants, all of our programs is heavily focused on these sectors. Oops, sorry. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So we are governed, so the Workforce Development Board has two elements to it. One is the board and the other is the Career Center. So at the board level, we are governed and follow the regulations of WIOA, which is federal requirements regarding workforce board composition. And that is usually made up of 51% businesses, 49% others. That includes governments, community-based organizations, and other entities. That is really the formula we have to follow. We build on our partnerships. So we provide those industries to connect those job seekers. We collaborate with other boards, but we also, our board is also composed of individuals that represent mainly those in-demand occupations. So we have union representatives, we have higher education, we also have individuals that are MOU, so by Memorandum of Understanding with the state of New York and with the federal government. They have to serve on our board. And so those individuals are OC and BOCES, OCC, Center State, and there are others like labor unions have to be part of it as well. So we have IBW 43, we also have the carpenters, and we have a couple other that represent the labor as well. So going back to the program impacts, so in PY25, we served, the total number of requests that came in were 2,506. So if someone wants to get services at CNY Works, the first thing they have to do is they have to go to our website, cnyworks.com. They have to fill out a service request. That service request will automatically send them an email where someone from our team will be in touch with them within the next 3 days. And so that number you see there of 2506 is a total request we received just in program year 25. Our program year starts July 1st and ends June 30th. From those that fill out that service request, 28.8 were working, so 722 were working, and then 71.2 were not working, and that's reflected in 1,784. What the job seekers were requesting more. So they were requesting 49.2% were requesting job search assistance. So that's resume writing, job application, mock interviews. 44.2 were seeking training assistance. And training assistance translates into the individual training account, and that is a federal program through WIOA, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, where CNY Works or your Onondaga County Workforce Development Board exists, and that is where tuition, there's assistance for tuition. As long as a person is going into a certification, a micro-credential, or a training that's going to lead into a job, then an ITA comes in, and that is a tuition assistance, and WIOA is the last resource. So when someone applies for any of our services, first they have to prove that they've exhausted any other resource in Onondaga County, and then WIOA kicks in. So that's the training assistance. We also have, under training assistance, we also have supportive services. So that encompasses a very robust supportive service policy that encompasses anything from support with childcare, as long as they've exhausted, like I said, anything else, car repair, boots, gears, textbooks, transportation, purchase of a bicycle to go to work or to training, and there's more. And then there is, do you have a
I
question?
just have a question. When you say exhaust all resources, how do they kind of show that?
Usually, it's a letter from the provider or the entity they've gone where they've actually been denied, or those resources are not available, or they're not eligible.
Okay.
So it's proof of denial or unreceivable of those eligibility.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank you. Could you define RIO?
WIOA. Yes, WIOA is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and that exists since it's been re-ratified in 2014. Before it was WIA, and now it's WIOA. And that is the core pillar of a workforce development board. And what they do is they focus on the services to adult, dislocated worker, and youth. And then underneath those, you have individuals with disability just as involved, and everyone else who's eligible. To be eligible under WIOA, you have to be facing a barrier or challenge to get back into the workforce. It's a very broad definition, and there are different criterias to be, but you'll find that some individuals may not be eligible, as others will.
Okay. So of the 1,784 people that contacted CNY Works that were not working, how many of those people got a job through CNY Works? Do you have that number?
That is a very interesting question. It is a little hard to track, because if they're still in the phase where they've contacted us and we're still working with them to get a job, then we can't really prove that as an outcome. Other individuals may just have filled out the service request and we never heard from them again. So back to your question, yes, we can track it. It's just, I'm afraid it's not going to be accurate.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Legislator Brown had a question.
I do have a question. You mentioned that people can sign up with the service request online. Do you guys take walk-ins? Like, how does that work?
We don't. Unfortunately, we don't, because everything is based on appointment.
So can someone like call and make an appointment? Like
Yes.
if someone can't use a computer?
Oh, we have a computer. We have resource rooms in our.
So they
in our-
can-
We have a
in-
resource room in our office, so someone will walk in as a walk-in and then be
the
directed
service
to the resource room.
Thank you.
They can fill out a service request, and then they'll hear from someone in 3 days. Yeah, but if someone wants to walk in and just get a service or talk to someone there, based on they can't. I mean, they just can get very basic information, but they don't receive services and walk in. And then the other 23.9% is a resource help, so resume help. So anyone who came in just to verify or check their resume or update their resume. Referral network. So a lot of the individuals we receive are on a referral basis. So the biggest is NISDL. So per WIOA, per the federal law, we have to, every WIOA recipient, a local workforce board, has to be located with their state Department of Labor. So we are co-located with New York Department of Labor. New York Department of Labor focuses on very specific items. They do unemployment insurance. And so any individual who's receiving unemployment insurance and wants to go to training or end up needing some sort of supportive services, they have to come to Seeing Where Works portion of it, side of it. We'll get registered, and so that's where you see the 14%. 8.2 is OC and BOCES, and you can see the rest. I mean, these are very strong partners that we work, and then 1.1 is works compensation. So 351 of them requests came from NISDL, which is a very impressive number. So this is what I was mentioning before is the ITAs, is individual training accounts. And we funded 215 in PY25. Our biggest sectors, like I mentioned before, so we focus on those in-demand occupations, is CDL, nursing, medical, so LPN and RN, HVAC, electrical maintenance, construction, heavy equipment, welding, and other. So the youth program is, we have two different youth programs. We have one that is funded through WIOA, and we have another one that I'll speak after that's funded through the OTDA through the county DSS. So this one is the county. This is the Summer Youth Employment Program, and then we also have the year-round, which is called YEP, Youth Employment Program. So summer of 2025, our program started July 7th, ended August 22nd. The length of the program was 7 weeks. Each youth worked 25 hours, and we served 666 kids. 270 kids were not able to serve because we didn't have enough funding. So we usually have a very long waiting list. All of these youth do complete a 3-hour training that covers financial literacy, sexual harassment prevention. These are all mandates by OTDA, so this is all throughout the state, not just Onondaga County. Worksites offering expand. This year included photography, legal justice, coaching, veterinary, and barbering. So one of the things we do is we really try to get youth out of that fast food environment. We really want to place them in a area where they can actually have a career pathway, or it leads into entrepreneurship. So that's where the barbering comes in, because there's a lot of youth that have shown interest in opening their own barbershop. So that's why.
And there's a question.
Yeah. My question, you mentioned the ones that couldn't be served. Is it just purely the dollars aren't there, or like do we have enough employers? Like we would be able to place them if the funding was present. You can say that, or? Yeah,
that's a good question. Usually we don't have enough work sites, although for the last 2 years we've been very lucky to have enough work sites. The 270 roughly is because there's usually we don't have the funding.
It was funding. Okay.
Yep.
It's good to know.
Where does that funding come from?
OTDA
State.
So Office of Temporary Disability funds it to the DSS. So DSS is the recipient. We become the subrecipients. The model in the state of New York is that your local workforce boards are the ones doing, like the subrecipients, running the program. And so for many years, we've been very generous where DSS has given us 100% of the allocation. It was not the case this year, unfortunately. But it's a great program. It's been running for many years, and we're very grateful to the state that continues to fund it. Yep.
Why was it not the case this year?
Well, because this year they did keep some money. They did not give us 100% of the allocation. They kept a portion of it. Okay, and so talking about the adult programs, the Quest grant. So this is a federal grant that the recipient is New York Department of Labor. We are the subrecipients. It's the Quality Jobs Equity Strategy and Training. It's a Disaster Recovery National Dislocated Worker Grant. It started, we were awarded September 30th of 2023, and unfortunately it's going to come to an end this September. The goal of Quest is to strengthen and supplement workforce initiatives around Onondaga County in those sectors, mainly I-81. So years ago, a few years ago, we had a grant from New York Department of Labor just to focus on I-81 and creating that pipeline for I-81. When that went away, New York Department of Labor, along with CNY Works, wanted to pursue those same goals and projects, and so they applied for this and they assigned Onondaga County to be the recipient, the sole recipient of this grant. And we've been focusing on careers in infrastructure, construction, advanced manufacturing, and care economy. Care economy has just been childcare. It's been very challenging trying to get childcare off the ground. We've been very, very successful with infrastructure, construction, and advanced manufacturing. And so the model of it is to provide the priority population, so these underemployed, unemployed, low incomes, women and minorities, formerly injustice involved, and members of the Onondaga Nation. That's been our focus. And like I mentioned, the priority industries are the ones, in heavy equipment, heavy highway construction, logistics, transportation, and care economy. So the job readiness, so in this grant, there is a component called pre-employment boot camp, and we call it job readiness boot camp. It is a 60-hour, 3-week intensive preparing participants for career in the construction manufacturing. So thus far, we've had 90% completion rate. We have run 4 complete cohorts. Monday was a graduation of the 5th cohort with 100% graduation. So far, 80% of them have been just as involved. Our first cohort was 100% just as involved participants. 38 out of 42 graduates. We enrolled 42, 38 graduated, and our expectation graduation number by September 26 is 80. We do intend to run 7 cohorts, so we still have 2 more to run until September 30th.
Question.
Do you track job placement for this group?
Yes, we do. So far, an individual has been placed at Salt City Construction. Another person has been offered a job to be a roofer with a private company. There are 2 of them that are working in the union and getting into unions, the peer apprenticeship program. So yes, I mean, we do have to acknowledge that these individuals do face significant barriers. Some of them have just left prison a week ago, and then they're in this boot camp. We have a very strong partnership with the task force, reentry task force from the Onondaga County. So a lot of the referrals come from there. And so, we do case management too. That's a big part of it. And we do track very closely the outcomes of job placement.
Do we engage with the employers in any way to say, like, okay, we have these people, we're training them, like, what do you want them to be trained in, that kind of thing? And in addition to that, will they let us know beforehand, like, okay, we don't want people with a record, or we don't want people? I find that, we do the training, people get through the program, we're happy to get the certificate, and then the employers won't hire them. And that becomes frustrating because the employers could have said that in the beginning. Do we have that conversation ahead of time?
Yes. So to answer your first question, embedded in this job readiness boot camp, we have employers that come and present to the participants, and that's how most of the hiring is happening. So we have the carpenters, the unions, the laborers come in. We also have a solid partnership with the Syracuse Building Exchange. So these businesses come and speak to them, and that's how the hiring is. Now, the second part of your question is, yes, we work with individuals that are just as involved, hire friendly, and the ones that are not, we're trying to educate them on the benefits of hiring individuals with justice involvement. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And so what do the participants receive during that boot camp? They receive job readiness, financial literacy, career tools, digital literacy, career exploration, and supportive services. So bus passes as transportation, any other supportive services they may need. And then we do use headsets, VR headsets that belong to New York Department of Labor to do career exploration, mainly on manufacturing and construction. And then for career tools, there's different tools that we use through New York Department of Labor, and we also try and incorporate a little bit there of artificial intelligence, so AI, into that training. So to the right, you'll see the list of the cohorts and the dates. So we're currently recurring for cohort 6. Like I said, cohort 5 graduated July 20th on Monday. And so if you know of anyone, please send them to our website. And in the service request, I can put that they're interested in the pre-employment boot camp. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, go to the next one.
Could be where she's sitting. Yeah, it might be where she's sitting. There we go.
Okay, Okay, employer and partnership and work-based training. So this is a part of WEO as well that we call on-the-job training, OJTs, and incumbent worker training. So OJTs are individuals that are going to be placed at a job site but do not have the skills. So usually these individuals are identified by the employer. The benefit of an OJT is that CNY Works has a policy that we could cover up to 50% of those hourly wages for up to 1,040 hours in good faith that that person will remain in place as a permanent employee of that business. So we've worked this program year with 37 individuals have been placed in on-the-job training. 13 of them have been incumbent worker training. Incumbent worker training is another kind of program that speaks to individuals that are currently performing the job, but they need to get a credential, certification, or training in order to stay active and up to speed with what they're doing in order to stay in business. Be either the business needs to train their staff or an individual needs to be trained in order to be still performing that job, to stay updated. The businesses we've partnered with so far, NFI Industries, Forge, and TKT General Constructing. There are a few other ones that they're smaller, but these are the biggest ones. And then the industries is reflected in CDL Trucking and Advanced Manufacturing. So that is all I have. Our job, like I said, we're the hub of workforce development. We are very happy to do this job. I am 1 out of 33 in the state of New York. I'm 1 out of 594 in the U.S. and territories. So we are your local workforce development agency, and we're here to serve and support you. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
The on-ramp program, which is a state program,
Yes.
right? How do you work with or parallel, or how does that work?
Yes. So that is a state program that has their own construction manufacturing. You know, they have their circuits build. We don't work very closely with them yet. I think we had initial conversations about creating a referral process where we would have a station at on-ramp, so those individuals that would not qualify or would be eligible under on-ramp would be served at CNY Works. That has not materialized. We're still waiting to hear more from them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What type of advertising, or do you get out to different events throughout the county? With your office being on James Street, it seems like this is very. Do you expand throughout the county, I guess is the question.
So we're the one-stop, right? So we're known, not only CNY Works, it's the law that says that your local workforce board is a one-stop shop. It's the one-stop. We have, under my leadership, I focus on doing what we call satellite offices. So we have staff that go on a daily schedule to either OCC, OC and BOCES. We've had conversations with Peace to be able to do those enrollments and have those conversations. We are currently speaking to the libraries. So we already met with Liverpool and Manlius and the Central to have a workforce advisor, which is that frontline case manager person, to have hours at those libraries to be able to answer those questions, enroll individuals, and talk about our services. So back to your point, we're doing everything we can to do that. We are very strategic. We're in a very great location. We're right in front of a bus stop on James Street, not too far from downtown. But our idea is that we meet individuals where they are, especially at Liverpool, Manlius, Beeville, right? So just make sure we're expanding.
Right. I think that's what's most important to me, is that the outreach is getting to the entire county.
Correct.
To try to get people that may not even know of CNY
Correct.
Works.
Yes.
I think you guys have like a $6 million budget, right? Am I accurate
About
that
$7
number?
million, yep.
Now, the county, I think, what, $50,000 in funding is
Correct.
what we give you?
Yes.
But it's still helpful.
Yes.
So
We're very grateful.
To have the entire county involved is one of my major concerns. So I'm glad that you're taking some focus on that right now.
Absolutely. Yes, and we do realize is that it's a challenge for new Americans, right? Mom wants to get services, wants to learn more, but can't drive or can't go very far. So that's been our goal, to go to Liverpool, Beeville, Manlius, and that we just want to keep expanding Tully, right? We just want to make sure we can get. Our biggest limitation is staff, because once we remove a staff from our office to go do these outreach, then that's one less person that's serving individuals. So we're really trying to focus on strategizing how do we make sure that we don't lose the focus and the momentum and the demand that we have in our office to remove an individual and have them be off-site.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Me? Okay, this is our. From your perspective, just looking at workforce development, do you find the demand is higher that we have people looking for work but not enough employers, or employers looking for people and we can't place them? Like, which would you say is?
Yes, I would say after COVID, it was the first scenario. You had people not going back to the workforce. I would say right now we're in a sweet spot. We have enough jobs that people can go into. I think we still need to work on getting more individuals reskilled and upskilled for the demands that's coming. We do stay very close on the Micron project, the supply chains, Chobani, everything that's happening around our area. So right now we may just be surfing through that, but it's going to get to the point where we're just going to need more bodies.
The employers, they're looking for people that have specific skills and trades? So, like, they're not looking for entry-level people particularly, or it's not?
I feel like the entry level is always a challenge, but not so much because the training could happen. I think where they have more challenges is getting to those mid-higher levels, because it's not knowing if you can really promote that individual who's been there for a long time and leaving that vacancy, moving people up. So when we're having conversations with businesses, it's both ways, but we're in a better spot than we were right after COVID.
Thank you.
And Gerald?
Hello. I have a couple of questions. My first one has to do with the forthcoming SNAP changes, or they're actually unfolding right now, anticipating people are going to be accessing employment that maybe previously did not, particularly in the New American community, with both the ABOD, as they call it, requirements, as well as folks who are losing access to SNAP altogether. I want to know what training is being provided to your frontline workers, because those are the folks that are interacting with people coming in the door. Technology access, of course, is a significant issue in a lot of our communities, and so when they're interacting with the staff, what are the things being trained in terms of work authorization requirements, paperwork requirements, to ensure that this is a dignified experience for them when they walk in CMI Works?
So thank you for that question. So right now we have a partnership with DSS. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we have 2 staff from DSS at our site, where individuals that receive the letter or the notice get to come in and receive their orientation. We have a staff member that speaks about all our services and what they need to do in order to get that service request. So that's happening. Anyone that is eligible under our programs needs to be either a U.S. citizen or legally permanent status. Unfortunately, anyone who does not, or has a TPS or work authorization, right? So they have to have a legal status. That's how we're able to serve individuals, because it's a federal grant. So we have trained our staff, so for any individual that does not meet that requirement, we have trained them to provide referrals, right, to either Interfaith Works or any other community-based organization that's able to help them navigate these challenges about workforce that unfortunately we can't do that.
So just to clarify, those who are losing their TPS status, which is an ever-moving target, how are we communicating that with our community members when they encounter that?
So, I mean, when they come in and you say they don't have their TPS and they're still looking for jobs, they have to tell us that they've lost it. We unfortunately don't have the mechanisms to verify employment unless it's physical, right? We don't really go into a system that could verify that.
Okay. And then secondary question has to do with summer youth employment. First of all, I'm so grateful that we have that program in our community. I think it's a huge asset. A lot of community members and my district utilize that. One of the challenges that I've encountered quite a few times with families is them not being aware of when the application opens, and then therefore missing out on the opportunity because it fills up very quickly. What efforts are we making to try to make sure that community members, not just the students, but also parents, are aware when that application opens?
So our application goes live usually early April. What we're doing this time differently is we're making sure that emails are sent out to those previous customers or participants. The information is also shared with all the school districts. So the counselors are helping those youth fill out those applications and bringing them in. It's on our website, like I said. We have used social media in the past, so I think it's notable that anytime early April, we're telling parents to look out for the website. We do our inquiries start all the way until before January, so we're just telling them to be on the lookout for those times to be on the website, and a massive communication just also goes out via email. Thank you.
So I had a question about with the federal administration, are we seeing any cuts there to this vital, important programs that we are seeing, and is the state stepping up at all to fill those gaps? Any update on?
So the way WIOA does, yes, to answer your question, we did receive a shortage, a cut. It was 13%. So we were expecting 20%. We were very lucky to say just 13%. So the way it happens is WIOA, the federal government disperses WIOA funds to each state governors. Then the governor in the state of New York hands it over to New York Department of Labor. They have also received a cut in the sense where, if we have a cut, they have a cut because they also have to cover their needs. And so the state has been actively looking for federal grants to supplement those shortages, and they're keeping us up to date on that information.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much for coming. Okay, next on our agenda, we have a resolution that Legislator Block has been working on, and it's co-sponsored by Legislator Knapp, who will provide us with more details. So Legislator Knapp, if you would like to talk about our resolution.
Sure, absolutely. First, I want to thank Legislator Block for bringing this forward and allowing me to co-sponsor it. This is a really, really important situation that we have going here, and this is a good piece of legislation that New York State is considering, and we should definitely encourage passage of it. Basically, New York State's current purchasing system, the way it's been forever, is pretty strict, low bidder, wins the award, and not really allowed a lot of extra considerations. Basically, it's dollars and cents, and that's who wins. And unfortunately, particularly for some of our larger institutions, school districts, things like that, it really heavily favors large conglomerate-type corporations who can take advantage of economies of scale, things like that. Fortunately, it often blocks out our local producers. My favorite example, the most glaring example that I've found that hits a little bit close to heart is our schools and various other institutions are forced to buy Washington State apples because of the way the bidding system, and again, these large corporations are sourcing apples from Washington State and not our very own that are grown right down the street or all over the state. And so and quite frankly, they're not as good. But anyway, we won't go there. And certainly from get out totally from the agricultural side, from a sustainability standpoint, trucking tons and tons of apples 3,000 miles across the country when we have, beautiful ones right here, as fresh as you can get, just doesn't make sense. And so basically what this bill would do would be to give some flexibility to the buyers to be able to take into consideration sourcing and local how it will benefit local institutions and farms, et cetera. Several years ago, actually, Onondaga County, we passed a best value purchasing program, which kind of accomplished the same thing. Allowed our purchasing department to take into consideration some of these other things when they're scoring these bids to help some of the local companies compete. And so, and the good news also is, from New York State, they've really stepped up very nicely to give school districts and other institutions extra money to buy local. This is a piece of the puzzle that's missing. And so I think, anything we can do to encourage it, I would certainly encourage.
Thank you. Any questions on the resolution? Okay. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
A second from Legislator Knapp. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have Chairwoman wants to discuss the ADA Committee and countywide accessibility standards and oversight.
Everyone? Okay. I believe most of you have heard this already, but just to do a quick review, we heard our clerk a couple of months ago giving us a briefing on the ADA standards changing at the New York State level in regards to access to our meetings, both in agendas, online presence, meeting minutes, presentations, et cetera, which triggered a conversation in general around accessibility here at the legislature. And our desire to kind of do some deep dive into how we make this more accessible of a space to our community members for all accessibility needs and the county at large. And so another piece of this was the review of all the outside boards and commissions that have been a part of the legislature over the years. And there was a Council for the Disabled that was went defunct essentially in 1999. And we are looking to re-energize that by a new name using the nomenclature that is more dignified and respectful to these individuals impacted and needing accessibility opportunities here. And so we are looking to better understand not only what that nomenclature ought to be, but who ought to be represented on this council, what it would take for it to truly be successful. And so I'm coming to each of the planning committees because accessibility is not something that's just a health and human services issue, it is an everything issue. And so in regards to planning and economic development and the different departments and intersections that we have here with the county, wanted to inquire of you all if there's anything that you feel like is going to be important for this council committee on accessibility to be set up to really have an impact on the planning and economic development areas of the county. Are there any suggestions or thoughts as we draw up the resolution to reestablish this committee?
Our committee already oversees a few things, out of the community development department that we oversee here. Certainly the Shape Up program and the Shape Up for Veterans program are two really, really good programs to help and could provide accessibility, keep folks in their homes and things like that. So not new programs, but certainly ones we should encourage and continue, maybe find ways to expand depending on, see what works.
Yep, great. Any other?
Would a reference to that committee be something that could or should potentially be included in contracts that agencies that this committee oversees?
Be a suggestion of the committee to consider things like that for sure. I think that one of the things, we're going to establish this committee by vote on August 4th, assuming that it passes, and then appoint people to it in the following month's session. And so I think what we're looking for them to do is to offer up ideas like, here are things that would, here's the issues that we are seeing, and here is what we would suggest be done to address them. And so that's what we're looking for these folks to offer up. So I'm expecting if it has to do with planning and economic development, they would come to this committee and say, this is, here's a thing that we would like to see happen. But we need to make sure that it has teeth, I guess, is part of why I'm coming to the committees here to present this, is what do we feel like we really need to put in place to make sure that this is a really meaningful use of these people's time to really help us to solve these issues. Any legislator participation, community participation, departmental participation are some of the things that have been suggested. Is there anything else that we need to bear in mind? right. Well, if you come up with anything, you know where to find me. Email myself or Legislator Block and Legislator Block on that, and be watching for that resolution coming to Ways and Means next week and the session in August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I had something before we adjourned. I wanted just to provide an update on the data center study. The RFP has been released and responses are due by August 5th by 3 p.m. It's stated in the RFP that a decision would be made after that, 3 to 5 weeks after proposals are submitted. The governor, as we know, has issued an executive order, which is a good first step, but it does only apply to data centers that are 50 megawatts or bigger. So the legislature's Responsible Data Centers Development Act, that would apply to projects over 20 megawatts, so we still do need her to sign that important legislation. And I wanted to remind everyone that these moratoriums are temporary. The county doing this data center study is a proactive measure for the county to help local municipalities understand the impacts of these projects, help update their code, and create best practices depending on how communities would like to move forward. So I will continue to follow this process really closely and provide any updates when I can. Is there any questions on that? August 5th is when proposals are due. Okay. All right, thank you. Does anyone have anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? And second? Great. All in favor? Thank you. So that's carried. We are adjourned at 11:42. Thank you.